Hello there, welcome to Love Audio's YouTube channel. My name is Paul Webber. Great to have you along this evening, this afternoon, this morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world, you're very welcome. And do let me know in the comments, especially if you're new here. Hello to Double M Pro, welcome to you. And already asking some questions, so we will certainly get into those in a few seconds' time. Now, what is Love Audio production all about? Essentially, it's a safe, fun, friendly, and hopefully entertaining and informative platform where you can learn the basics in audio production. We're looking at it from a beginner's standpoint. So if you're on board with that, let's get going. Love Audio! And like I say, we already have comments coming in from Double M Pro. Says, would you show how to connect a sub through an aux on the 3S? I've got the Studiolive 32 SC, which I'm assuming is similar to the Series 3 that you're talking about. Perhaps I'm assuming you're talking about the Presonus series of mixers, so that's cool. What I've got is a Yamaha sub bass. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to reach down here, and if I can, this is the Yamaha sub I've got on the floor. Okay, and this is plugged in via. It's coming out. Sorry, I beg your pardon. It's coming out the back of the sub speaker itself via phono cable, so RCA cable, if you will, and of course it's mono, and I've got that going into a splitter cable. Which is an XLR plug on the back, and that goes into one of the channels on the back, which actually is specifically for the sub out, and it's got its own volume pot on the back as well. So that's how I do my sub straight out of the mixer. I don't always have it on, of course. I only use it if I'm playing back some really decent kind of music and I want to hear that lower end, whereas the M Audio speakers, the monitor speakers I have either side of me here, are very kind of mid-range and top end. So I tend not to have the subs on, but if I do have the sub on, then again I will plug it in it's already plugged in, of course, but I would then switch it on the Yamaha itself, and I can control the amount of output that the desk is giving that bass to that as well. So I hope that helps. What about a low-pass filter on the output? Yeah, you could certainly do that, but it depends on what you're mixing, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. So it's going to depend on whatever you're putting out there and whatever you're mixing at the time. So a low-pass filter on the output. I don't want to muddy the output, because once I've mixed it, I don't want to then change the output section, if you will, the final stage of that. So I'm just kind of, what I'm trying to explain is that if I do the mixing in the box or even out of the box on the mixer, I don't necessarily want to muddy the sound that's coming out of that by putting a low pass filter on the final mix, if that's what you're grasping at. Isaac Bentley is in the house. Hi Paul, hope all is well rather. Thank you. Let's just get these comments on the screen here before we go any further. So that's Double M Pro's question there. What about a low-pass filter on the output? And then Isaac Bentley. There we go. Let's put that up there as well. Thank you, Isaac. That's brilliant. Actually, it didn't stay on the screen very long. Let's do that again. Very good to have you along today, by the way. Do let us know where you're from. And if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button, of course, and click the bell icon, because that will then let you know when I go live next, which is generally every Monday night at 8 p.m. UK time. That's GMT. So if you're on the East Coast, there's a 5-hour difference. If you're on the West Coast of America, there's an 8-hour difference, I believe. Double M Pro says, I am asking if there is a low-pass filter on the sum output to connect a sub. That is a very good question. I don't know the answer to that. I will try and do some research and let you know in future streams, if I may, or certainly if you want to leave a comment, then this should show up later on, and I can then answer the comments as well. But if you are watching the replay, of course, afterwards, you can then leave a full-time comment rather than the live stream comments, and I'll be able to do some research and hopefully answer that for you if I may. So I hope that's okay. What I wanted to do this evening was to show you the touch screen feature that's on the Studiolive 32SC, and this is a great digital mixing system. If you've ever experienced it before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me just bring that mic down a bit there. It's in shot, I know, but I'm going to be getting closer to the mixer, so I don't want to be out of shot as regards audio as well. So what I wanted to do was show you the touch screen that we have here on this particular mixing console. And if I bring that up now, you'll see that currently this particular camera is hovering, and literally it's hovering. It's on a very springy stand, so I apologize if it's got a bit of a shake to it as well when I bang the desk. But as you can see, what it's showing here is the aux 7 output. Now that's the... if I can just explain what I do to that. Everything that I send to the live stream is coming out of a sub bus, bus 7 and 8, on the mixer itself, okay? And before I realized how to do this, and you know, I'm a beginner myself, this is all self-taught. I didn't go to university or college to learn any of this stuff, so it's all very much self-taught, and I want to pass it on to you guys as well. So the way that we did it was that prior to finding this out recently, what I had to do was take a feed from output 7 and 8 at the back of the mixer and put that into a mini jack and put that into the computer. That was the only way around I could get that kind of mix minus submix, if you will, into the computer. Now everything is rooted within the computer and within the software and within the hardware, so there doesn't have to be any external connections. And of course what you're getting now is exactly what's on the desk, but coming through mix 7 and 8. I can prove that to you because if I put the fader up with regards to the computer, you're probably going to get a bit of echo there, okay? Not too much because the levels aren't that big, but certainly if I put that fader up, then that's what you're going to get, okay? So I'm going to bring that down because I don't need that on mix 7 and 8. What you do have though is my microphone. So if I bring that down, the volume gradually goes lower and lower, as you can tell. And if I bring that back up, that's the section there. So if I click on desk, which is the desk mic that I'm speaking into, which by the way is the Rode NTG4 shotgun mic. Okay, and that's going through a Behringer preamp and coming back into the desk on channel 9. So if I press channel 9 now, it says desk, and what you'll see here, I'm there pointing at the screen thinking you can see it, but of course you can't. There we can now. Okay, so what we have here is 48 volts doesn't have to be enabled on this one because the microphone is getting 48 volts from the preamp. It's not getting it from the mixing desk itself. If it was being wired directly into the mixing desk, then yes, I would press that button there. I can also press it on the desk itself. I'm not going to do that because then it'll be doubling up on the power that's coming through to that particular channel, and I don't need to. And then you'll see at the top left-hand corner a little icon. Now, if I change that from analog, which is currently what it is, to USB, it changed, of course, like that, but of course you couldn't hear me because the microphone isn't coming in through a USB source. It's coming in through an analog source, okay? You could also opt for the network switch, so that looks like this. And again, it muted my voice because the microphone isn't being connected through a network connection. Okay, if that makes sense to you. What we've also got here is the preamp volume control, okay? Now, as you can see, if I'm turning the knob on the desk here, the gain knob there, you'll see that preamp changing. So the more I bring that up, of course, the volume's going to change, and that's going to give you, room ambience as well, and just too much. So I bring it down to about, let's have a look here. So we're looking at about 16, 17 dB without peaking too much, which is cool. And of course, what that is that's controlling the volume coming into the mixer itself from the microphone and from the preamp. What I could also do is change the gain here, and you'll see that on this side of the touch screen here, that's changing the level of volume that I'm sending to mix 7 and 8. Now remember that the mix 7 and 8 is what's coming down to you, down to the live stream, okay? So that's just there. You'll also notice, by the way, those pink things underneath, or the purple icons there, 1, 2, 3, and 4, refer to the FX sends. Now, if I unmute the FX, you'll hear that I have 4 FX mixes that are now being routed, or should I say the microphone is now being routed through those FX sends, which of course sounds daft because it's just too much. But I will talk more about that as we go through these particular buttons. Just want to go through these as well up here. This is a phase switch. So if you were miking up, let's say, a drum kit and you wanted to find out, let me go back to here a minute. If you were miking up a drum kit and you wanted to find out whether this microphone was giving grief to this microphone in regards to phasing issues, then you could press that button on the desk just there, okay, like that, and you'll notice all of a sudden that changes the sound. Now, actually, it sounds a lot better, to be fair. So maybe I keep that on because that actually sounds really good. I don't. Let me know in the comments what you think. But actually, and I mean what that means to me as an engineer is that there is some kind of phasing issue going on with the microphone. Maybe it's picking up too much room noise. Actually, that sounds really good. I'm going to leave it on. You see, you learn something new every day here. And the good thing is that, like I said to you before, I'm not a trained sound engineer by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just learning as you are. And going through these things and hopefully, letting you know those things from a beginner's standpoint, okay? I've got a question here from Double M Pro. Says, if you have some other stuff going on the board and you want to solo the vocal with effects, can you do that? Wow, that's a great question. Well, you know what? Let's try it, shall we? So let's say you've got tons of stuff going on the board, and I can't quite show you because the camera's not pointing to the actual board itself, but what I could do, give me 2 seconds and I'll bring up universal control. That'll show you what we're doing on the desk as well. Give me 2 secs, Double M Pro, if you will, and I'll bring that up. I didn't think we'd need it tonight, so I didn't actually launch it, but let me just double click on the icon to bring up universal control and click on the Studiolive 32SC in the software. And I'll put on my pip there so you can see what's going on. This is the Studiolive 32SC desk. So let's get that pretty central to the screen. Let's expand it. In fact, let's give us a better view there. Okay, so what we've got here is the microphone here. Let's have a look here now. Let's go to aux 7 because that's where we're coming through, aux 7 and 8. Now what you'll see is the microphone here, the slider that's moving is the microphone that I am bringing into mix 7 and 8 from the mixing desk, okay? So if I solo that and then give it some effects, then those effects are coming through to channels 7 and 8 as well. And so you could probably solo that as the effects. And the thing is that whatever you want to send to the FX sends, you can then decide what you want to do, and that could be done on the fly, could be done in the mix itself or prior to the mix. Let's just put that back on because that's ridiculous. That'll get really tedious really quickly, won't it? But do you see what I mean? So you can actually solo the desk like I've done there. Clicking on that button there indicates that that solo is now lit, okay? And then what's happening is that particular microphone channel is the only thing coming through to you. And I can probably prove that by playing some sounds on Epidemic sound. And again, I didn't know I was going to be doing this. Rich Vibes, good evening to you, sir. We're right in the middle of showing you the touch screen. Hang on a second. That didn't come through. Let's try this. There we go. Send that. And go back to here, which is you guys. And then I want to go to here, which is Epidemic sound. Where are we? It's bookmarks, Epidemic sound. That's cool. Let's get that on. Let's log in. And let's just play you the first thing that comes up, all right? So I'm playing that. Thank you very much. I'm playing that, but you're not hearing it because we've got it soloed on the desk, okay? Now, that's interesting. That's still coming through to you, and I'm soloing that. So that's interesting. It's not actually soloing that, but it might do if I do it on the main mix. If I solo that instead, bring that up and solo that. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Nope. Okay, well that's something that we're gonna have to learn, aren't we? Let's face it. So that's an interesting question, one maybe for a different stream. But yeah, really cool. How would I rank the tools for my... Yes, it's fine. Thank you very much indeed. Don't want to do that. That's me. Let's sign out. That's fine. Close that. And go back to that. So yeah, if you have some other stuff going on the board, you want to solo the effects, solo the vocal with effects, can you do that? It's something I've never, it's something I've never done, to be fair. And like Double M Pro says, depends what solo mode you are in. That's absolutely true. And I don't have much experience with that, so I'm not going to pretend that I do. Okay, so let's get back to that. We'll bring up the view from above. Of course, this is the touch screen itself. So we've talked about. Let's go back to our desk channel here, and we've got that fade switch on. If I turn that off, you see how different that is compared to what it was before. I'm actually going to leave it on because it sounds really good. So, for me, that's kind of working. What we've got just below that. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's put it in one ear only in my headphones, and let's put it back because that's central. And then what you can do with that is obviously pan left or pan right, or in my case, pan right and left. As that, you might find that kind of happening in your headphones or on your speakers, where it's panning left and right. Okay. And we want it up the middle to be fair. So let's go center. Press the center button on the desk and it returns to center. Also down below here, you've got a high pass filter and you've got an input delay. What's the input delay for? Well, the input delay is if you were, let's go back to the screen here. If you were looking at miking up a band, or producing a band from, let's say, the front of stage, and your desk was situated like way back away from the stage, then you have an opportunity to put a delay on what's coming out of the mixing desk, what's coming out of the band when it comes back to the mixing desk, so that there's not too much lag in regards to what you do on the desk as regards to when it changes on the stage. So you're able to have an input delay, which would then delay the output for a few milliseconds or whatever it might be, in order to compensate for that distance between your mixing desk and the stage. So that's pretty cool. Double M Pro saying, how did you route bus 7 and 8 to the computer? Okay, well, let's dive in and show you. So what we do, first of all, my hand's underneath here, as you can see. What I'm going to do now is bring up the home setting, and then you'll see that you've got several options on here. You've got system, you've got user profiles, you've got capture, which is the recording software, of course, that comes with Studiolive. You've got utilities, which I'll show you later. You've got digital patching options, talkback edit, soft power, and audio routing. That's audio routing that we're looking at with regards to getting bus 7 and 8 into the computer. So we're going to click that now, and we're going to go with digital patching. Okay, so channels 7 and 8, sorry, mix 7 and 8, I beg your pardon. So we're looking at analog sends. So mix 7 and 8, if I scroll down to mix 7 and mix 8, if you see there, so mix 7 is there, okay? What you do is you line it up with whatever you want it to be. So mix 7 is mix 7, mix 8 is mix 8, as it says there very clearly. USB sends is what we're looking at. So coming out of the mixer, USB 1 is mix 7, and USB 2 is mix 8. Can you see that? So USB 1, so channel 1 and 2, if you like, coming out of the USB into the computer, because that's obviously what the computer is relying on, is that USB connection between the Studiolive 32SC desk and the computer. USB 1 is looking at mix 7, USB 2 is looking at mix 8. Now I can change that, and if we do, you'll notice that one of the channels will drop out, okay? So if I go to mix USB 1 and 7, so if I go to available sources and change it to mix 5, then you've only got me on one channel because I've just changed that, okay? So that's not what we want. And I'd have to go and look for mix 5 instead of mix 7 and 8. So I'm going to change that back. So USB 1, it says mix 5, but nothing's coming through mix 5. It's only in mono so far in one of your ears, probably. So if I go to mix 7, which is what it should be, then we're back to that mono, channel 7 and 8. So USB 1 is 7, USB 2 is mix 8, and then I don't touch any of the others. They all stay the same all the way down through this. And it's not just a 32-track digital mixer, by the way. So if I went up to USB 32, that's fine, but it carries on. USB 33 and 34 is your aux in, 1 left and right. Your 35 and 36 is aux 2. And 37 and 38 is the computer. believe it or not. So that's how they've routed it from the factory settings. So 37 and 38 on this desk is tape in left and right, which actually is the computer. So any music coming from the computer, as we played you earlier, is coming in through channels 37 and 38. And then, of course, I've routed that through mix 7 and 8 if I need to play you anything from the computer to bring that back in, okay? So I hope that was useful for you. Thanks very much for the question, Double M Pro. That was really useful, so thanks very much indeed for that. Let's make sure I haven't missed anybody. Low pass filter on the sum output to connect to sub. Again, Double M Pro, I'm not quite sure what that would entail, and it's probably a longer conversation that I'll have on a different stream, but certainly I hope that this route 7 and 8 thing was useful for you. And yeah, this is exactly how I get it in. So yeah, going back to that again, so USB 1 is mix 7, USB 2 is mix 8, and that's USB sends, okay? You've got analog sends, input source, and there's all sorts of combinations of configurations you can do within the board itself to route all sorts of stuff around. Double M Pro, are you creating a separate mix for bus 7 and 8? Yeah, but I don't put a lot through it, to be fair. So what I do is I generally route any of the microphones that I'm testing. So if I've got 2 or 3 mics on the go at the same time, I would route those through the new mix and have different levels for those, of course. I also have the booth mic, which is in a voiceover booth behind the camera, which you can't see clearly, but that's also on there. I've also got a lavalier mic on channel 15, which I bring in as well on that particular mix. If I've got that linked up and I'm wandering around the studio perhaps and I want people to follow what I'm doing, then that's what I do as well, okay? So that's really useful. And like I say, I bring the computer in as well, but I've also got the DAW out. It's also routed to mix 7 and 8, so I can control the volume of that on the desk as well, okay? In fact, I can demonstrate that for you, so, excuse me. If I go back to my desktop here, you'll see that this one here, where are we? That's the wrong one. This one here, there we go. Okay, so bring that down. This one here that's moving right now, that is the DAW. And it's not linked up at the moment. I haven't got the software open, but certainly when I'm running anything through Studio One 5 Pro, which is the software that I use, of course, in conjunction with the Studiolive 32SC, then what I'm doing there is bringing in a different volume of the DAW. So if it's quite a loud mix, for instance, I'll bring that down so it's not harming anybody's ears at your end, but it'll be in stereo. So it's a good stereo mix there. You can see that on the screen where it's got that split there. So if I go to selection here, on the DAW, and if I want to pan left and right again, I can just move that around and that will change that like that, you see. So it's going from a stereo wide to mono like that, and I can also select each of the individual channels left and right and then pan them left and right if I wanted to, but I really don't want to do that. I wanted a full stereo mix coming to you guys like that. And also on that particular channel, I think I've got the DAW routed through the effects as well. Maybe. I can't remember if I have or not. But it's okay, it's cool. So yeah, there we go. So that's where that's coming up through, and that's part of the mix 7 and 8 that I'm sending to you guys. So again, hope that was useful as well. Let's go back to that one, and we'll bring up the touch screen again. Sorry for this. Hang on, I've got a button for it somewhere. There we go. Okay. So that's the DAW out. We're going to go back to the desk output here. So I want to show you a couple of other things. So we've talked about the input delay. We talked about the high pass filter, which I don't use. And we're going to go to the EQ. Now, EQ is good because if I turn it off, you'll notice that the sound that I'm bringing you down mix 7 and 8 is now a lot flatter than it was. Okay, so we'll put it back on and we'll go into this particular filter. It's a vintage EQ. And what I've got here is I've got it set to 220 hertz on this bottom one here. It's not quite as low. Oh no, maybe I beg your pardon. It's 110 hertz. So it's this one here, this button that's lit. But if I turn it off, again, you can tell that difference straight away, that the sound is much flatter than it should be. So I put that on, and then so you've got that, but you've got a control here. So if you touch the control, you'll notice that there's a blue line just underneath the number there, 6.02 dB. Now if I turn the knob on the desk, then obviously that's going to change and bring you a lot more bass than it would do. That's 16 dB of bass. And then, if you roll that right off, then it's almost acting like a low filter as well. So, it's only letting through certain frequencies. So I'll put that back where it was. And then, of course, you can go over to low mids. And again, I've got that set to the button there, which is 700 hertz. You can go lower than that. You can go 360 hertz, or you can go higher at 1.5 kilohertz. But I've got on the middle one of 700 hertz. And again, the line there indicates which one you're going to be dealing with on the desk. So again, I could turn that up and you can hear that mid-range coming through like a telephone sort of conversation, if you will. Hi there, yes, thank you for calling XYZ call center. I'm sorry, but we're very busy right now. You'll have to wait 15 minutes. That kind of thing. But I tend to have it around about 2:05 on the clock. So around about 3.78 dB is about the sweet spot for me. Then you've got high mid frequencies there as well. Again, on these three buttons that show on the touch screen, you could have 7.2. You could have the next one as 4.8, which is one I have, and then you've got 3.2 kilohertz as well. So I tend to go for that middle one. And again, you can tweak that, and it's giving you quite a harsh sound. So I tend not to have that too high. It's probably going to be about 5.25 dB there on the dial. And then finally, your top end, your sparkle, if you will. Okay, so your high frequencies. And again, that's roughly about 3.33, I think it was. And if you turn it right up, you can hear that. And if you want that crispness, then that's absolutely fine. You might want to put a de-esser on the final channel, because that's going to get on people's itch after a while. So I tend not to have it too harsh like that. I'm going to probably bring it down to about 4, I would say. And that for me is a kind of sweet spot where I like the EQ to be. Now, to get back to the home screen, press home, and then back again, and then you're back to this particular screen itself, okay? What you've also got on here is the gate, so controls of the gate. This is the gate working hard, so what it's doing is every time I speak and then don't speak, it's cutting any background noise out. And again, I can adjust the parameter of that, the threshold. So I'll move the threshold button further away, and right there, all of a sudden, you can hear the fan from the computer underneath the desk. You can hear the room noise as well, okay? And you can hear that echo coming back to me from the room, which is obviously not good. So what I tend to do is bring the gate quite a way up to about there. That cuts down any background noise and any room reverberation that I've got. So if you want to know how to use a gate, that's exactly how I do it. The range, you can change, of course, at negative 69 dB currently. The attack, that's how quickly it comes in, is 35.3 milliseconds. And the release is quite high, actually. It's 446 milliseconds. So it doesn't let it go as quickly as it attacks it, okay? Which is cool. So it hangs around for a bit. And it, in the grand scheme of things, that's less than 1 second or less than half a second. So it's still pretty quick, but it's not as quick as coming in at 35.3 milliseconds, all right? Key filter, I don't tend to use that. On the key listen, I've got gate. You can also have an expander on here as well, which is pretty cool. Just there, you can see that on that thing there. I've never actually touched that, so I don't want to, because I need to use this particular setting for tomorrow's radio show that I do. So I'm not going to touch that for fear of messing it up. So let's go back to the main screen again. Compressor. Now, fors and against as regards compression. Do you use compression in your mixes a lot? I tend not to, just because I just don't, to be fair. It just kind of, muddies the whole thing for me, so I tend not to do it. So, basically the compressor, if I put it on, yeah, sure, it's going to work, and it's compressed. You can hear it compressing that, and if I go to the screen itself, you can see it working. So it's compressing the sound, but don't forget, I've already got a gate across it. So what it's actually doing is making it sound more kind of what I would call radio. If that's a really loose description, I know, but it's making it sound kind of squished, which is what a compressor does. And if I wanted to make it work harder, I'd just bring the gain up as well. So I could bring the gain up on that, which would give me a bit more headroom and make that sound a bit more crisp. But I like I say, the compressor is off for a reason. I don't tend to use it, so I've literally turned it off. Let me just show you what I did there. So that's with the compressor on, and then I turn that compressor off. And you get that sound, don't you, that people love. And this is a standard compressor that comes with the software and with the hardware. You could choose all sorts of different things. You've got a tube there, which looks like that. And it looks pretty fancy, doesn't it? It's a tube compressor, which is really cool. You've also got a FET compressor, FET, FET. Okay, that's quite complex. Let's go to Brit Comp, which a lot of people like. They like the sound of that Brit Comp. Let's put it on for a second, see what it sounds like. So we've got that coming in now. I can't really tell how much difference. It's not working particularly hard, but you can see the needle moving very, very slightly when I raise my voice. So obviously it's doing something. Let's try and do some adjustments here. Hang on. Where are we looking at? So yeah, that's the threshold button. And again, what it does is when you touch the screen, it highlights whatever parameter you're using by putting a blue line across it, so you know which one you're using. So we'll bring that threshold up, or let's bring it down rather. So that's where you see it working when you bring it down, okay? But you're going to need to bring some makeup gain in order to bring the volume back up, okay? So what we do then is go makeup, which is that one there, and then we bring that up, and again that raises the volume up to where it used to be. I mean, it doesn't sound bad as compression goes. It's much better than that standard one that was on just now. But again, I tend not to have it on. But if I did want it on, then yeah, it's nice, and you can see it working now. Every time that needle moves to the right, that's the compressor working hard. But the problem is it picks up every single breath. So when I'm doing a radio show and I go take a deep breath, it's going to really emphasize that breath sound. So I tend not to have the compressor on. I got to be honest with you. So we'll turn it off for now. You've also got classic comp. I'll click that button there, and you can see that when we put that on, again, the compressor needle, you can see that working now. Okay, that's a classic compression, and then we turn that off, and we go to Comp 160, which is this one. It's a compressor and a limiter, which is cool. Let's have a look here. What we've got below and above. I don't know what that does, to be honest with you. On, off, there we go. Okay, so it's on now. Okay, so what you can see is that the needle is operating in the opposite direction, and it's sorry for the you can't really see it too well because of the light that's coming in on the top, but yeah, it's the needle's working in the opposite direction now. It's not coming in like that. So you've got a side chain option as well. So if you had something coming in on that channel and you wanted to drive the compressor with a side chain, then okay, those lights are changing. You see that? So above and beyond, or above and below, it should say, those move every time I speak. So now it's below, now it's above. Very good. I like that. Okay. And again, I'm not going to have it on because I don't like compression. And there's more. You see these? You've got Everest C. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's beautiful, isn't it? What a great... and these can be downloadable, by the way, from your subscription or your service that you have with Presonus. You can download these to the desk, which is really cool. Double M Pro says, why didn't you rather send a matrix mix of the main output to the computer so you don't have to make a separate mix for the computer with... I think you ran out of words. Oh, hang on. With the matrix, you get exact same mix you have on the board. Yeah, that's a good idea. I do like that idea. And it's a good idea. I've not really worked with matrices before. I could easily change mix 7 and 8 to a matrix mix instead, and then bring it in that way. Like you say, it would still stay the same as the as the mixer settings that you have. Absolutely, you could, yeah. But because I want a slightly different mix, perhaps than I do with the desk itself, then yeah. So I bring it in as a separate mix on mix 7 and 8. As an auxiliary mix instead. I hope that makes sense. Go back to this one, which is the Everett. Look at this, it's so cool. I've got to put it on just for oh yeah. Oh, you see that's not a bad sound, to be fair. That's not a bad... I mean, I haven't touched any parameters yet, but that's not a bad sound at all, to be honest with you. Yeah, I do like that. Okay. Well, maybe I'm I don't know, coming around to the idea of maybe maybe using a compressor on this, huh? What do you reckon? And these are like, they look like buttons, don't they? Which is pretty cool. So you've got a fast and slow attack here. I think you turn the knob there. So that's fast attack. That's a slow attack. fast attack, and then you've got release, fast and slow as well. So fast release, so that's releasing it really quickly, and then that's slow release as well, as we talked about earlier on. Okay, you've got gain there as well, so that's your makeup gain. That's, oh my gosh, that's far too loud. Sorry about that, guys, if it's too high. And then you've got gain reduction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the compressor working really hard to compress the sound, but of course you get that drop in volume, and then you have to, you have to make up the gain with the gain control there as well. But it doesn't sound too bad, does it? I like that. Rich Vibe saying, please remember to like and subscribe. Absolutely. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Would love to see you back here again. Don't just visit once, visit twice. It always helps the channel, so thank you. So yeah, pretty wide selection of compressors this thing has. We talked about the Everest one, which we've got currently, and then you've got this FC670 compressor. Let's put that on, and let's see what that does. Input gain, I'm probably going to bring that up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you know what? Sounds nice. Sounds really nice. I'm not going to deny it. Threshold we can adjust, of course, bring that up, and then it starts working more, as you can see on that needle thing there, going back and forth. And, they've made them look like proper, proper compressor units, which is really cool, I think. And it's all built into the touchscreen as well. So it's quite a high resolution touchscreen, although you can't see that, 'cause this is a tablet camera, by the way, that I've got on an overhead. So, showing this, it's not a bad image of what's going on, but on the screen itself it looks amazing. I've got a stand-up desk, so I have to actually lean towards the desk to see it properly, but that's my choice, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's not a bad sound, actually, to be fair. And now I've turned it off, of course. That's what we're left with. Let's make sure I haven't left any of these on. Where was that Everest one? There we go. Oh, no, it's okay, yeah. So when you turn one off, they all turn off. It's not like you can leave one on the same channel. You could have a different one on each channel, of course. Like if I went to the booth mic, for instance, that will be completely different. I went to the spare mic, that will be different. Went to the compressor, or the computer coming in, that would be different. DAW would be a different one as well. The lav mic might be different. The Denon DJ mix might be different as well. But, if you go per channel, you can have a different... you could have a different compressor on each of the channels to make a completely different sound, but there'd be a ton of compression going on there, and that might affect your kind of final mix, if you will, okay? But I do like that Everest one. That's really cool. Not only does it look cool, but it actually sounds nice as well. So I might have convinced myself to use it, but like I say, it does enhance every single breath that I take. Every breath I take. So maybe I don't want it on for the radio show, because that's going to cause aggravation at their end, because they have a compressor at their end. So I do the link, and then it compresses the link at their end. So it's kind of double compression, if you will. So it's all going to sound awful, but that's why I try and make it as natural as possible. Just a little bit of EQ, as I've shown you earlier on. So back to this screen here, you've got the EQ there, and that gives you a snapshot, which is really cool. But you can go right into it, like I say, by just tapping on it. That opens it up to these controls here. Gives you more depth of field, if you will. And let me get back to that one there. Excuse me. So that shows you all that kind of thing. The limiter, again, I don't put a limiter on. Limiter would be okay if I didn't want all of the stuff going through mix 7 and 8, to be too much in your face, if you will. So, a limiter would stop that from happening. I don't put the limiter on. That's generally for mastering. I might use a limiter on a final mix, perhaps on a master, but certainly for general use, I don't put the limiter on. I don't really need to, because I'm not driving it that hard, to be fair. Okay, so those are those three things across there. As you can see, the compressor is listed because I've brought it up. I mean, the gates, I think you can choose different gates as well. I'm not quite sure, but maybe not. No, maybe it's a standard gate anyway. That's okay. But you get the idea. So what's coming through the microphone is being sent to the main mix. If I tap that, it's still coming through to you, but I've lost it out of my headphones. So I now can't hear myself in the headphones because I've turned that mix button or that main button off, okay? So I can't hear it. If I do that, then yeah, I can hear it again now. So what's happening there is that the volume coming from the microphone number 9, or input 9 rather, which is the desk mic, which is what I'm speaking to you on, the NTG Rode NTG4, is coming through there. But what I'm doing is sending it to the main mix on the mixer so that I can hear it, But if I turn that off, like that, then, you know, I now can't hear it. But you guys still can, because it's still coming through mix 7 and 8. As you can see very clearly, it's on there. But if I bring that down, you can see it adjusting itself in the mixer just there. You see that? Okay, so it's all, but if I bring that up, you can now hear me again. And I bring it up to what we call Unity on the desk, which is the U section. It goes above that 5 and 10 dB, but that's only if you want more volume out of it, as well as doing the gain controls as well. You can have more volume on that fader, but I tend to try and keep everything at Unity. That's the U section on the desk itself, okay? And we can see that if we go over to the software again on the universal control, and I go to the desktop here, you can see that most of these are at Unity. If I was going above Unity, that's what this looks like. So if I go there, it's really loud, I do apologize, but I'm just trying to demonstrate what beyond Unity looks like on the desk. Okay, so that's just up there. And you can see that fader moving there in the screen. So I tend to bring it to there, which is that line right across the mixer there. That's called Unity, or 0 dB. Okay? Go below that, of course, it's going to be lower. But there is about right. Okay, and it's going to be different, you know, whatever you're mixing or whatever you're recording, whatever you're mixing, whatever you're doing, then obviously that's going to make a lot of difference. Let me just put that back on because I can't hear myself. That's better. Okay. Okay, good. So we've gone through a lot of things today. Let's have a look here. Yeah, there's Equalizer as well. You know, and we've not even touched on equalizing this particular channel yet. You know, we could do quite easily. So, you know, there's an EQ thing here in the window. So again, this is not happening. This is not happening in the touchscreen. This is actually happening in the software Studiolive 32SC. So if I change some of these parameters, for instance, then, you know, you're going to get more bass like that. And it's on currently, so you can see that. So high frequencies are going to change like that and all that kind of stuff. So you can control these things within the software universal control, as well as what's happening on the touch screen, which is just over there as well. Okay, so, you know, just bear that in mind as well. And that equalizer would be changing whatever's going through auxiliary 7 and 8. So the whole mix would be coming through 7 and 8 there instead, and you'd be changing the equalization of that particular channel, or those channels. Okay. Yeah. So like I say, we've covered a lot of ground. There's obviously, you know, plenty more that you could experiment with on this particular touchscreen. You know, we've gone through some of the routing options, various other things you can check as well. So you can go to sound check if you've got the UCNet page coming in. So you can go to UCNet as well. And let me show you what that looks like. So you've got control network. If I had the DAW open, the control network would come up with my computer there. And it would mean that I can control every single fader in the desk, on the software rather, with the desk. So it's a control surface, okay? Transport controls on the right-hand side. It's currently controlling software, but if I wanted it to control the, if I bring this down very slightly and slightly over, you'll see here that on the desk itself, it's got, let me just bring it back up again. So it's got a card reader, okay? So micro SD adapter that goes into the recording, and I can record 32 tracks of digital audio directly into the desk, and then take that and bring that over to someone else's desk perhaps, and you know, play it back through their DAW or whatever it might be. So that's a really useful feature as well. But that again, I could change that to SD card, and then all of a sudden we go back here. You know, we've got control over the let's have a look here. So we've got control over the wow. Okay. Let's not do that. That's a sound check thing. Let's go to edit. Don't need that. Speed test on the sound card performance, on the SD card performance. That sounds good. 29, almost 30 gig of space on there, which is really cool. So yeah, say for instance I wanted a new session. I'm just going to create. Please wait. Do not remove the SD card. So I just want to show you what happens, because obviously that's you know, it could be a good thing. So And here we go. So this is the dialog box that comes up on the touch screen here when you want to control the SD card recording. Okay, so let's have a go. All channels to SD input. Yeah, why not? If I did that, you couldn't hear me. So ARM tracks. Gosh, that's a good question. Okay, so we're going to ARM track 9. So select track 9. This is really technical, guys. Hope you're following along at home. Going to click done. Okay, and then on the desk, master control, I'm going to press record. Okay, so this should now be recording, and as you can see there, the timeline is changing. So hopefully, excuse me, hopefully that's recording everything coming up of channel 9, which is the desk mic. And I'm going to stop it there. A little bit of a lag, of course, between stopping it and starting it. Hello? Stop! Gosh, it won't stop. Hang on. How do we stop it? It's on record lock, that's why. Okay. Stop. Right, okay, good. Okay, so if I return to the beginning, he says, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. I should be able to play it. Goodness knows what channel it comes up. It's all a learning curve, guys. It's a learning curve. I have no idea where that comes up. But anyway, it kind of records. You've seen it. Let's bring that back to software control because it's absolute chaos. And I have no clue what I'm doing. This is the blind leading the blind, guys. So let's go back to there. Let's get back to there real quick. So something's recorded on the SD card. What I could do, obviously, is take that out and play that into something else, like a laptop or whatever it might be. In fact, on my new laptop, I've got an SD card recorder or player, whatever. So yeah, I might take that home and try that and see if it worked. And I'll let you know next week. But listen, thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. The touchscreen itself on the Presonus Studiolive 32SC digital console. We've not covered absolutely everything, of course not, and that we've gone for hours. But normally we tend to kind of keep these streams to about an hour long. And hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. If you have, give it a thumbs up, please do, and make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, because then that will help the channel, and also you'll be notified of when I go live next, which, as I say, generally is on a Monday night GMT at 8 o'clock. And of course, that's different for wherever you are around the world. Double M Pro, please let us know where you are in the world, won't you? And like I say, hopefully you'll come back again. Isaac Bentley, thank you so much for watching. And hope you enjoyed the stream as well. Thanks to Rich Vibes for popping in and saying hi. Thank you very much indeed. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to say cheerio. Thanks so much for watching this particular stream. If you're watching the replay, again, thank you so much. It does help the channel. If you want to help us in any way, go over to patreon.com/Love Audio Production. And there you'll find a free downloadable PDF guide to podcasting. It's something I've just uploaded. I'll be uploading a lot more stuff as well in the near future, so watch out for that. But it's free to you to download. Just use that as you wish. And yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy that. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can by going to hello@loveaudio.co.uk. Just drop me an email anytime at all. And also you'll find many, many more things on the website, which is loveaudio.co.uk. The shop here that I'm operating from, the studio, is not just a studio, it's a shop as well, selling audio spares. And that's on that site there. Love Audio Bits with a Z on the end, or a Z if you're in America or Canada. BITZ, so loveaudiobits.co.uk. You'll find an online store there as well, with all of the stuff that's in the store is available online as well. And like you just saw, if you want a t-shirt or a mug, then go over to the new website address for the merch, which is loveaudiosmerchstore.com, and that's where you'll find that. Okay, I'm exhausted now. Let's play you on a second. Let's play you one of these. Just giving me a breather, and it lets me have a quick slurp of coffee. So yeah, like I say, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. My name is Paul Webber. It's been a pleasure to present this for you tonight. And if you did enjoy it, of course, then come back for more content with regards to the Presonus Studiolive 32SC and also the software, which is Studio One 5 Pro. And if you go to Presonus.com and you want to subscribe to their Sphere program, that gives you the full software at an affordable rate because you just pay monthly, which is brilliant. As long as you keep paying, of course, you get all the features, the full feature of the software, which is a brilliant piece of DAW. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much again for hanging out, and look forward to seeing you on the next stream, which is next Monday night at 8 p.m. Take care.